Hi, and welcome to Industry Night with me, Nycci Nellis, the show that takes you on a deep dive of what's happening in the food, wine, and hospitality scene. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining me. I am in the gorgeous Wine Lair, the private wine club, next to the Ritz-Carlton. They are a sponsor of this show. I'm so grateful. And if you haven't had an opportunity to be here, you should totally check it out because it is really swanky. And if you haven't heard the memo, private clubs are really in right now, not just here in the DC area, but nationally and internationally. Everybody wants in on the trend. This particular private club is very focused on wine and spirits. So they have these fabulous lockers. It's so much fun to play in that cellar. Not that I can drink any of those people's wines, but I can certainly window shop and see the kind of wine and spirits they're keeping on tap there. Anyway, you should check out everything at Wine Lair DC on Instagram. You can find out more about the concept and you can come in and check it out. So a little bit about me. I've been covering the DC food, wine, and hospitality scene for 20 years. The list, areyouonit.com, the online e-zine that tells you about everything happening in DC. You follow me at NYCCINELLIS, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, please, to this show on YouTube. Let's see, where else? Oh, you can find me on WTOP as well. And every Sunday you hear me and my husband on Foodie and the Beast on 1500, TC's only food and wine hospitality variety show. Okay, so if you're on my Insta feed, you know I've been out and about. Just a couple quick places I want to tell you about. Love Makato. I told you about it a couple weeks ago. Brand new restaurant, 4 concepts. I had only done the barbecue Izakaya. Now I have done, the barbecue omakase, but now I have done the Izakaya. Fantastic food. You have to see what's going on there. And Micah Wilder is doing the cocktails, and they are pretty snazzy. Went to Queen's English. Everybody's talking about it. Little tiny spot up on 11th Street Northwest. They're executing Hong Kong style Chinese. I love the space. I think the food is good. It's definitely worth checking out. Make reservations because it gets crowded. Brand new Villa Yara, a new Lebanese concept, is opened in Georgetown, right across from the Four Seasons. They are struggling with their staffing, but that part aside, they're serving terrific Lebanese wines, and they have a really proactive food program. So all those things are items that you want to check out. And I'm going to yell at my guest right now because he's on his phone. And I'm going to tell him to put it away because the interview is about to start.
Let's do it.
Okay, so many of you know that I have an incredible relationship with the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington, otherwise known as RAMW. And over the years, not just on this show, but also on Foodie and the Beast, Kathy Hollinger, the former CEO and president, has come on this show to keep us posted on all the things that were happening, whether it was staff shortages or Initiative 77 or Restaurant Week, the pandemic insanity. RAMW is truly a lifeline, not just for their members in the industry, but also for diners and consumers as well. So there is a new sheriff in town, actually a new CEO and president, Shawn Townsend, who many of you may remember. He was the very first director of the mayor's office of Nightlife. It was a pretty snazzy title, and everybody wanted to know how he got the job, and they did not. And now he's head of the RAMW. And really what I want to talk about with Shawn today is, in the current state of the world, there are so many new concerns for restaurants and for diners. And how do you advocate and promote sort of the vitality of what's happening in the region, but also, make it work for everyone? Because restaurants are not a monolith and diners are not a monolith. There's lots of levels to each. And you guys just launched the Food Jobs DC, which I totally want to talk about. And then we got the RAMMYS, which we'll get to at the end. So hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to have you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your background and how you wound up at the mayor's office and got to be the mayor of Nightlife, because that sounds like a fun gig.
The key word is sounds.
Right.
It was I was just honored to be the one selected. There were a number of interviews for that position. I had previously spent some time at Abra, which is our alcohol licensing agency. So I was able to establish a relationship with a lot of operators, seen a lot of things over there, and I think the timing was just right.
Heard all the complaints about Abra, so you were able to like put two and two together.
Yeah. And take the enforcement piece out of it and come on the other side and be a real advocate for the industry. So, that was 2018.
Right. And so you were still in the role during the pandemic.
That's right.
So you and Kathy really worked very closely together because so many things worked hand in hand. So you must have learned so much at that time.
We spoke every day. There was not a day during the pandemic from March of that year. It seems so long ago.
I know.
There wasn't a day that we did not talk about, what was going on in the industry, what she was hearing, what did folks need, and I literally was the go-between between the industry, RAMW, and the Bowser administration. So that's when I was really able to learn a lot about the association and what were the things that were important to the industry.
Well, but so now, 3 years later, you started 6 months ago. What is important to the industry? I have a long list of things that I think are important.
Yep.
But for you right now as a CEO and president, now that you've been there for 6 months, you've had some run-up time.
Yep.
So what are you seeing are the priorities? What are the members most concerned about?
I think it's one, the remnants of the pandemic and ensuring that, our elected officials, our policy makers, don't think that restaurants are completely back, because they're not. Although we do see crowded restaurants at times.
I was going to say it's deceiving.
Yeah.
Listen, I felt during the pandemic, you heard about razor thin margins, right? CNN, everybody, wherever you got news, they talked about restaurants and razor thin margins. And for some reason, people don't understand that those razor thin margins still exist today.
That's right.
Whether you talk about how much the price of the per square foot, food costs, labor costs, etc., everything has increased. And I will be honest, I've been out and about, and there isn't any place that I've been to that is quiet.
Yeah.
If somebody says to me in the industry, so people are really struggling out there, huh? I'm like, not everybody, most people. The people that are struggling, there's a reason that they're struggling.
Yeah.
That's a different show.
Yeah.
But just because places are busy.
Right.
And they're hopping, and we walk around and there's new places opening.
That's right.
It doesn't mean that the important issues still don't exist.
Right. And that's been my priority, is ensuring that we just don't write off the industry and say, okay, restaurants are good. Let's move on to the next industry.
Right.
No, we're not completely back. What's happening, just like you said, is it now costs more to operate a restaurant. But what I do enjoy seeing is people coming out and enjoying new restaurants. We're seeing new places land. I know Philippe Chow is coming on board really, really soon. I'm excited about that one in my neighborhood. But yeah, we're that's our number one priority. And then also the implications of Initiative 82 post the November election, where voters decided that we're going to eliminate the tip credit.
Okay, so let's go down a tiny rabbit hole since you brought it up.
Let's unpack it.
Okay, so Initiative 77 was a couple years ago.
Yep.
It also got voted in because the language was so confusing. Because the language is basically like, don't you want your servers to make money?
Absolutely.
Right? Which, of course, and most servers were against it.
Yes.
In fact, so the servers at the restaurants that pull in big tips and big money are really against it.
Absolutely.
But somebody who works at like the corner shop, it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe that's kind of good,
yes,
right? Because they're not making
a decent living wage.
Right. They're not making a decent. So, but for people who don't understand, if I can just interject this, right now, prior to any tip credit, prior to any of that, right now when you go to a restaurant, if the server does not make minimum wage with their tips, the restaurant has to pay them minimum wage.
Correct.
So it was already happening.
Yes.
But I just said a mouthful.
Yeah.
Hard to put that in a sentence.
But you get it though.
Well, of course I get it. I'm in the industry. But so this new initiative comes. People are confused again. They vote for it again. So what is it and where are we?
So Initiative 82 passed. We are eliminating the tip credit. And the language says by 2027, July 1, that it'll be eliminated. So the operator of a restaurant will be required to now pay tip workers full minimum wage when this is completely eliminated.
Okay. And what is full minimum wage right now?
I believe it's $17.
Yeah. Let's just say 17.
Yep.
So they have to pay just their tip workers. This doesn't include what's going on in the back of the house.
So
right?
back of the house is already getting paid minimum wage, at
Right.
least.
At least. Right?
We know that.
So that's what's going on there. So now, I guess for people who don't understand the issue, what's the problem?
That's almost a 200% increase in labor costs for our restaurant operators. And I don't know anywhere on the planet that that is okay for restaurants to absorb and not raise prices or implement a service charge,
Right.
which we've been seeing in a number of ways across the city. And so the money has to come from somewhere, and I think we are all trying to figure out how to digest this new normal that's coming.
Well, so let's talk about service charges. I mean, I've discussed it with a lot of different people on the show. I think of like Hollis Silverman over at the Duck and the Peach. She's an excellent example of the service charge. She's incredibly transparent about it.
Yeah.
You know, right now, I think most of her employees get healthcare or partial paid healthcare.
Good.
They get vacation days. I think they get sick days. Like she wants, I mean, a lot of the people who work there, she's a woman owner,
Right.
woman chef, woman GM. I think there's a lot of like room for children. Like she wants it to be there to be a work balance, which let's be honest, is really hard in the restaurant industry.
For sure.
Just because of the native structure of it. So she's instituted it. They're very clear about it, where each penny goes. But a lot of places aren't. And it's kind of like some places charge 10%, some charge, 23%. Some are like, you can leave a tip, don't leave a tip. It's so confusing.
It is. And, of course, we can't, as an association, we cannot tell the operators or our members, hey, you should be implementing this amount as a service charge. We can only give them guidance and ensuring that they are not deceptive about the fees. We want everyone to be upfront about the fees so that in the end, there's not this confusion about what's this extra line on the bill. And I think we've done a good job of that. We'll continue to push out messaging. There's
But what's the feedback you're getting from restaurants who aren't doing it yet or who haven't started with the service fees yet? What are their issues with it?
I think they're holding out to see if they can afford the hit of the increase in labor. I think they're waiting to see if they can afford it. Some operators that I talk to just don't feel comfortable implementing the service charge yet. Others are paying their staff way above minimum wage already and not really relying on the tip credit right now, today. So for some, it doesn't impact them.
Okay.
For others, they are trying it out now. They're trying out different things now to see what the best model is for them. And I think over the next couple of years, we're going to see that,
Well, I mean, I'm sure you recall in the beginning of the pandemic, and I know I'm like a broken record, I've said this before, in the beginning of pandemic, like March and April, when things were so like insane, right?
Yep.
There was all from like nationally known chefs. There was a lot of like, we have to change the industry. Like we have to put things in place so that this can never happen again. And then, everybody was chasing their ass, trying to figure out how to stay in business. And now we're here. So there is a force of hand to change the industry, which I know, a lot of people have issues with. But do you think that there could be a possible benefit to this?
I think it's too early to tell.
Okay.
This is something that hasn't happened in 20 years in the country. The elimination of tip credit in any jurisdiction. So all eyes on DC, and I
know it's a real case study.
Oh
right?
yeah. We are definitely, all eyes on us right now. I know there's some other jurisdictions who will probably be taking on this fight.
I mean, they clearly went to DC for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a group who pushed this.
Yes.
Who are not from DC. I just want to say for the record.
Correct. You said it.
And I've talked to them.
Yep.
And I hear what they have to say.
Yep.
And there is a point or two. I'm like, okay, I can hear that. I can see where you're coming from with that. But it's very picayune to me personally.
Listen, I came in after November.
Right. So you were like, I can't do it. The damage is done.
Let's just figure out how to move forward.
So what are you doing to move forward? I mean, we were talking off air that you're like up on the hill. What are you advocating for the RAMW members? Yeah,
so thank you for asking. It's a very good question, and we've been starting to put out some things to let folks know what exactly we're doing. So thankful to Council Member Kenya McDuffie, who has been a champion for our industry for a number of years, helped us get through COVID with the Bridge Fund and other assistance through DC government. There's a restaurant package that he has introduced as legislation a few weeks ago now that includes a number of things to help the industry. And one of the main things that we've gotten lots of positive feedback on is the exemption of service charges to be taxed by DC government. So,
because who would pay the tax, the diner or the restaurant?
The restaurant would pay the taxes on service charges. And
that's a huge chunk.
No, it is. It is. Right now, look, I have one person in my kitchen cabinet, I like to call it. He says that every nickel counts at this point. And
I will tell you, I've had it phrased another way. So when I first started the business, and it's an advertising model. This is 20 years ago, and I'm very good friends with her now, but she was a new restaurateur, and we were talking about what I was doing, and I said, it's going to be advertising. And she's like, every dollar I spend that is going outside the restaurant, that can't replace a glass, that can't replace a fork, that cannot pay for the linen. She's like, everything has to pay for everything in this restaurant.
That's right.
And that's really how it was so informative to me, because while I had worked in the industry, I never owned a restaurant.
Yeah.
So it was very informative for me.
Yeah. No, every nickel counts. So we are pushing to get the service charges exempt from sales tax. We're also looking at exempting the service charges from those percentage-based leases where landlords calculate the formula based on your sales. Well, we want to exclude the service charges from those sales calculations.
Right, because it's supposed to be money for the staff.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So it's like taxing that money.
Right. And what we want to make sure that we've been very vocal about this point you just made about money going to the staff. Because the labor increase it's going to be up to at least 200% on the front of house. We're talking tip workers.
Right. Which, I mean, I have to tell you, you've said that twice now, that is mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
It's mind-blowing.
Tip workers are at $5 right now.
Right.
Right? And if we go to 17, that's 3 times. And that's just the reality of it.
It's just the math.
Yeah, that's it. So this service charge, yes, we wanted to, any revenue that a restaurant makes, it all goes in one pot, whether it's through service charge, through you paying for dinner, through online orders, third-party delivery, et cetera. It all comes into one pie.
Right.
All right. So when it comes into that pie, the owners aren't taking that pie home, putting it in their pocket, going on vacation.
I mean, listen, I love that line of thinking, because I think that a lot of people think everybody's a criminal, right? Like everybody's nefarious. Like if we don't have these strict structures in place, people are just going to run off with the money.
Yeah.
The bad players do, but more times than not, they get caught.
Yep.
And that happens. But I mean, there's just so many people in this industry that you and I both know these are business people, and they want their businesses to succeed, survive, and thrive.
That's right.
And you can't do that if you're stealing money.
That's right.
It's a short-term plan.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely. So there are a number of things in this restaurant package that we believe will help our industry as we eliminate the tip credit. We're looking to bump up the cutoff timeline to 2025 as opposed to 2027.
Now, why is that? I would think that the people who really don't want it would be like, no. Let's let this last.
Delay it,
yeah,
right?
Let's delay.
Yeah.
So why is that?
I thought that too, but hearing from folks that I've heard from, most of them prefer to what we've been calling rip the Band-Aid off. They want to, as opposed to the slow roll and the slow increase every year, they'd rather
just do it.
Delay the increases after this year. We had an increase on May 1st. It went to $6, and then on July 1, it'll go to $8.
Okay.
Delay the increases from here to 2025, and then in 2025,
we're at it.
We're at it.
Okay.
We're at it.
And what does RAMW? Do you feel that you have some responsibility because you're a member-based organization?
Yes.
Is there a responsibility to share how this works? I mean, other than being like on a show like this, like to share how this works with the diner, because like people like you and I who are eaters, who, you know,
we're insiders.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in the know, but for people who just eat out, it's confusing.
I mean, when I started, I was confused. Like I had to take a deep dive on it. So yes.
And not everybody who goes out to dinner wants to take a deep dive. They just want to go out and eat.
That's right.
And not be so drunk at the end when the bill comes that they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing?
With the light.
Right? Wait, is there a percentage in here? Siri. Right?
Yeah. No, we want everybody to know what's going on. So there's an educational campaign component of the legislation as well for us to not only let the consumer know, but some of our members, the workers, we want everybody to be aware of what's going on.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's going to be, like all things, it's a process.
Yes.
And there's going to be some tensions flared, I'm sure, on both sides. Not like that isn't happening anyway.
Correct.
But we can get to that. So with that in mind, actually, let's kind of move to staffing shortages. So I will tell you, pre-pandemic, literally like the week before the pandemic, Kathy came on this show. We were not here. We were in another space. And we were talking about staffing shortages. Yeah. Because pre-pandemic, there were staffing shortages. Not in the dire need that it is now, but it was already a problem. Yeah. Because DC and the environs can only hold so many people, but the incredible growth of real estate, not just places to live, very expensive places to live, but restaurants, all the new restaurants, all the new areas, there's an imbalance. So I assume you're hearing about it all the time. I'm hearing about it all the time. I mean, my phone blows up. What do you know? What do you know? Back of the house, front of the house. Like, what do you got? So how is this association helping its members within that? And in effect, helping the diners?
So you're right. It's been a couple years now that I've been hearing about workforce issues.
I'm sure you heard it. I heard about it when you were at the mayor's office. Yeah. Right? It's not new.
And so Kathy started this and I came on board to finish it. Food Jobs DC is our new workforce portal where we are encouraging our hospitality operators to load up the jobs, and we are encouraging the public who are interested in these jobs to go on there and create a profile. There's a nice little algorithm on the backside of it that reviews your resume and it matches you up with potential employers, and it lets both of them know, hey, you might have a potential match.
Oh my God, it's like swipe right, like swipe left kind of thing.
There you go.
I love it. I mean, I'm not on the apps, but I understand that's how that works.
I've heard too.
Okay. Yeah, you better say that. You just got married. Right. So this had taken some time to get together, but now that you're spearheading it, like, how are you working with both sides to help fit this problem? Because for people who are not part of this industry and they want us to, put their toes in, they're like, I don't have any experience. How do we help get these people to apply, to be part of it?
Yeah, so we're looking at including it in all of the job fairs coming up. Our government agencies, our local neighborhood communities, whatever listserv, we're pushing it out, advertisements. We're just trying to get to everywhere that potential employees could be looking for a job, and just getting the word out about this portal. It's the only hospitality portal that's available to the region.
Wow.
And we just launched it a few days ago.
So is it just DC?
Nope, it's the region.
So Virginia,
Maryland. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep. Foodjobsdc.com.
Right.
Yep.
It's very cool. I'm so excited about it being launched, and I love the way that it works.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've always it's very important to me is bringing more people to the industry. Although, as I joked, I was at Love Makato. Have you been there yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so I joked to Chef David. I said, so the reason why there's a staffing shortage in DC is because everybody's working here. There's a lot of people working there.
Now, some places do look a little overstaffed.
Right? But, that shakes out.
Yep.
But to me, there's pockets in the industry that are missing. I think we lost a lot of people during the pandemic, back of the house, in front of the house, whether people went to go do other things or decided this was not the life for them. But to me, attracting young folks who don't recognize the career choice of being in the hospitality industry is so important. And I know that RAMW is involved with other programs in order to engage with, especially DC youth, right? Because the days of vocational school are not what they once were. And I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding about working in the restaurant industry.
Oh, totally.
Totally.
Yeah. We, through our Educated Eats program, we, are definitely in the schools. And, just to have these conversations and to see just with the students and to watch the competitions of them, cooking and trying to create the best dish. It's inspiring to me to see. But also when we take them to a national Pro Star competition,
right?
Or to a restaurant to talk to the chef and take a walk through the kitchen. Their eyes light up, and it's not like it's something they've seen before, and it motivates them. It encourages them to not only continue on the path of culinary training, so to speak, but it also gives them an idea of, hey, if I'm not a chef, if I don't want to be a chef, I can also run the place.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What I think is interesting is the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Like the movie industry, right? You don't have to be the star in front of the camera.
That's right.
You can be the guy behind the camera. You can be the person who writes it. You can be the person who does the lights. There's all these roles. Same thing with the restaurant. You don't have to be the chef cooking.
Yeah.
There's all the roles behind him, and there's all the roles in the front of the house. You could be a wine rep. There's so many different pieces that make the restaurant what it is.
Absolutely.
It's just vast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think making it attractive as a career opportunity for those who, listen, not everybody grows up going to restaurants. Not everybody has the money or lives in an area where they have that kind of access.
That's right.
So educating people on that, letting them know that it's not elitism, right? That it is something that they can do, and then they can have this career path where they can be successful.
That's right.
Right? Is really important. To me, one of the biggest issues right now is housing in DC.
Yeah.
This is a national problem, but cities are hard to live in, and people who work in restaurants can't always live near their workplace, which is a problem.
That's right.
And
I think it's, if we do not pay attention and try to address it. You know, we're looking at more of our workers living outside of the district in Maryland and Virginia. So I know that the mayor, since I was there, it's been one of her initiatives is to make sure that we're, you know, intentional about affordable housing and intentional about, you know, keeping folks in DC that want to stay in DC, want to work in DC as well.
I mean, you want their dollars here.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
Yes.
Look, when I was in there, we did a nightlife study and we found out that $7 billion is spent at night.
At night?
At night. 7.1 billion.
Like a Saturday night? What night are we talking about, Shawn? 7 billion.
7 billion a year.
And that's what, like 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, that was 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
$7 billion
amazing.
spent after 5 o'clock.
I mean, this is a small city.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is. I mean, in comparison to like New York and
Right.
Chicago, Miami, LA, that is a huge number for a place that's 12 square miles.
Right.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who live within it.
That's right.
So I don't know what our numbers are.
We're
right
like
now.
700,000
I mean,
something.
right. We're not even a million.
No.
But that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a reason why restaurateurs from all over the world want to open up here.
Absolutely.
Because they see how much money they can make.
When I talked to Chef Gordon Ramsay at Ribbon
I feel
Cutting.
like you're name dropping, but go ahead.
Well, you know, I am president and
I
CEO.
know.
You know, I asked the question. I said, Chef, what made you come to DC? And he says, you know, in his voice.
Yes, of course.
He's like, we've been looking at DC for 5 years. We've been studying here. And, you know, the numbers just look good. And I said,
Well, John Asadorian did this show. You should, I mean, you know, he finds restaurateurs that around the world. When I first met John, probably 18 years ago, he's like, I'm going to bring Nobu to DC. I was like,
yeah, right.
Okay. And then, you know, 10 years later, Nobu was here. But what's interesting is that Wolfgang, I mean, some of them have worked, some of them haven't. They have to recognize DC as a unique market.
That's right.
I think Gordon Ramsay is actually doing that at the Wharf so that he can be successful.
Yeah.
You know, if they just come and sort of slap up something, they struggle.
Yeah.
DC's finicky. We're a finicky market.
Oh, we are very picky. We're very picky. But the fact that he opened up 2 places across from each other.
I know.
At the Wharf, I mean, it says something. So, you know, DC is still attractive. DC is still attractive despite, you know, the changes that we're going through. I don't want to say challenges. The changes that we're going through. It's still
But it's not detracting. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Stephen Starr is doing here. He's got 3.
It's 3.
Massive concepts.
Yeah.
One with Nancy Silverton.
Yep.
One with Keith McNally. I mean, those are big ass names.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
I mean, he's taking over the Dean and DeLuca spot.
Look,
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'm looking forward to a number of places opening up.
Right.
Really soon.
It's very cool. And by the way, you can find all that stuff on the listareyowanit.com. I just want to say every new restaurant that's going to be opening, including Philip Chow, is on there. So we got all that. I love what you're doing with the food jobs. What else right now? I mean, we can talk about the RAMMYS in a sec, but what else right now are like really big for you and the members with what's coming up, let's say for like the next 6 months? Now that you're 6 months in, you got your worries out and you've got an idea of what's important. What else is coming up, let's say for the next 6 months?
Well, we're already talking about Restaurant Week. We're already in the planning stages of Summer Restaurant Week, and that'll be late August. And
are you going to, every year there's always a little something that gets zhuzhed up a bit.
Yep.
What do you think for it? Since it's your first real one.
Yeah. Man, I don't even know if I can say this yet.
Yes, you can. Go ahead. No, let's see it. We can take it out if you get in trouble.
We're looking at changing the dates of Restaurant Week, the summer one, to align with another big event that's taking place in the city around the same time, and you know,
I feel like you're being really evasive, Shawn.
But
go ahead.
And it will be announced shortly.
Okay.
It will be announced shortly.
All right. I will keep on tabs on that. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. No, it's obviously January and August are slow months for restaurants. And that's the reason why we do Restaurant Week. And we wanted to try to put a little twist on and see what happens this time.
Well, I like that idea. And I also, listen, when you're in the industry, you're kind of like Restaurant Week, woo-hoo. But honestly, for the diner, it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's very funny to me, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this. People will be like, lay people will say to me, oh, so where are you going for a restaurant? I bet you're going out every night. And I'm like, no, I'm not going out at all. It's not for me. It's for you. It's for you to go. I've already eaten at those restaurants. I paid full price, by the way.
That's right.
But it's for you to get in and experience the restaurant. They're going to give you a taste of why it's worth full price.
Yes.
I always love the concept. I think it's so smart.
Yeah.
And it's and the restaurants who get it really get it do really well.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Get out of your comfort zone. Go try someplace new.
Right.
Right. And go back.
Well, I wonder if you feel this way or not. There is a fear of people in restaurants. Avid restaurant eaters. Pre what I do now, I ate out.
Yeah.
I grew up that way. And I don't know how I did it in college, but I was in Boston. I ate in all the new restaurants. It was my passion. It's still my passion. I'm very lucky that I made it my profession. But it was always a big priority to me. But some people are intimidated by restaurants. They're intimidated by food they don't know, or spending money. What if I don't like it? There's so much approach avoidance to it. And I really do feel that Restaurant Week really offers an opportunity for people to experience it at a price level that they're comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. Twice a year.
It's really great. And again, and some restaurants, do it all month long. It's funny when you said August is slow. I feel like that's so 10 years ago, because when I first started, I used to shut down the list in August because there was nothing going on. Yeah. It was dead. Not anymore. Yeah. August is busy. There's a lot going on.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the RAMMYS, because you have so much going on. I literally got a press release as you were walking in here.
We both got it.
Right? We both got the press release at the same time. So can you tell people who live under a rock what the RAMMYS is?
Woo! RAMMYS is the biggest food and beverage celebration on the East Coast.
It is the Grammys of the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
I have had the pleasure, I think the last 5 or 6 years now, being one of the not MCs, but I get to give awards, a presenter, which I'm always so honored and flattered to do. Yep. It's always a great group of us. And to me, giving awards to people in this industry. So last year, my awards were for Best Employee, and I think Best Manager, and there was one other. But the Employee Award is my favorite award because it showcases individuals who are really behind the scenes. And it always makes me tear up.
Who oftentimes don't get the credit.
They don't get the credit. They're totally overlooked. Nobody knows who they are. Scott Bruno went on for hours. I love him. But, everybody knows who Scott is. A lot of people know who so many of the chefs or restaurants are. Yeah. But, when an employee comes up and gets this award, it's everything. I just think it's so special. Yeah. It means a lot. It makes me tear up.
It is. And that's part of what makes RAMMYS so special, is that we touch on a number of spaces and places in the industry. So we highlight places, we highlight people, and then we party till 12 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. There's a big party. People are partying before the party. I just want to throw that clear. I don't, because I have to speak in front of people. But afterwards, actually, it's so funny. One year, I was like the last section of people to speak. And when I got off the stage, everybody was just drunk. And I was like, you people are just drunk.
That used to be me. Now I can't do it anymore.
Now you can't do it. Now you're going to have to keep your head together, but you'll be fine. But you've got some new things with the RAMMYS this year. So you have some new categories, and this show will air after people can vote. But I love that people are allowed to vote. So can we talk about some of those things this year?
Sure. Yeah. We have 5 categories, I believe, that are public, that are public categories where people can vote. And the voting is happening now.
Yes.
Voting is happening now until I believe May 31st closes, and we will announce the winners at the RAMMYS. We just wrapped up, the nominations for the other categories,
right?
And I've sworn to secrecy,
I know you are.
Not to let anything out.
And I just want to be clear. So I don't know if you know this story, but I'm going to share it with you. So years ago at the RAMMYS, I was accused of being a judge. And first of all, I wasn't a judge. And I was like, I want to be a judge, and I'm still not a judge. I want to be very clear. Because I can't be. But I got accused of being a judge.
Wow.
Because somebody didn't win. And, well, it was because somebody's clients had won. And I was accused of being a judge because I specifically picked those person's clients.
Yeah.
And when somebody came and said that to me, I was like, I'm not a judge.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you should tell people you're not a judge. And I was like, well, you should stop telling people I am a judge, because if I was, that would be a great thing for me.
Right.
But now you're trying to sully my name. It was a big deal for me at the time. But it is a secret group of judges.
Yeah.
Can you provide just a little context of how it works? Because even in the industry, there's always, simmering issues of who wins and who doesn't win.
Oh, I've definitely learned how serious.
Oh, it's serious.
It's
like a heart attack.
This is,
Yes. Until they lose, and then they're like, I don't care. Go ahead.
It's a very unique group of judges that they are very knowledgeable of the industry that is here in DC, in the region. They pride themselves on knowing, and if they don't, they pride themselves on going to know. And so they have spent a number of days and nights, going over who are the best places this year. And I'm excited about the announcements that we'll be making on July 9th.
Well, I love the nominees this year.
Yeah.
Listen, we're blessed to have such diverse options.
Yes.
So many different cuisines and so many regions and so many amazing chefs who have been elevated.
Yeah.
And able to activate and create their own spaces.
Yeah. Diversity was a big piece of the conversation this year, I will say. It was a very big piece of the conversation.
Excellent, as it should be.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, James Beard has gone through a whole bunch of stuff with diversity specifically, and it's a pendulum swing. Does that play, for those of you who don't know, it's Michelin, I'll just give a little background. Michelin doesn't care at all. They're judging the food, and that is it. They don't care if the chef is a jerk, if the restaurateur is a jerk, if they steal from their employees, they slap somebody on the tush. They don't care. It is all about the food, and you get your star or in the book. James Beard feels very different now. They have a huge pendulum swing, and they believe that you should be a part of the community, that you align with their vision of what a community builder is. Not only do you have a fabulous restaurant, but you are a good person.
Yeah.
Not always easy to define.
Right.
So the question is where do the RAMMYS fall with that now?
Yeah.
Because it's not always definable.
Yeah. I think we're in between the two. We try to balance it out, obviously, not obviously, but I would prefer that all restaurateurs are involved in their community and doing all of the good things, etc. But you and I both know that that's just not the way it is.
Well, it's also not for everybody.
Yeah. And people are busy, and it takes a lot to run a restaurant, and there cannot be this overhead expectation that we all are involved in giving ourselves up for public service. So I get it, totally get it.
I do too.
And then we wouldn't have all these great restaurants.
Right.
So I think we're in between the two. That's where we
nice.
fit in. That's a RAMMY.
I think that makes
all
the sense in the world. Okay, so honorary milestone RAMMY. You guys just announced it. Who's winning that?
Who's winning it? Honorary milestone. There's a couple restaurants.
So that's not a nomination. These are the winners.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Should I pull up the press release?
Yeah. Please do. I know Philomena is on there. Cafe Milano.
The Grill from Ipanema.
Yeah.
Old Europe. Cafe Milano.
Yep. Annie's.
Oh, Annie's. I love Annie's.
Yep.
Artie's. Four Sisters.
Yeah,
I know. Four Sisters is closing.
Yeah.
Their
After
choice.
30 years.
I know. Their choice. But I know. So sad. And then the National Democratic Club.
Dun, 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 dun.
What? I missed that one. What?
I think it was something like 70 years or something like that.
Oh. So what is the award? What's the category really?
It is legacy.
Okay.
Right. It's long-standing businesses that we want to highlight and celebrate for, 30, 40 years. They've seen a lot. They've been through a lot. For them to still be here,
right?
We want to salute them, and
I love it.
Just a prime example. There's one on this list that's closing. Right. That is the perfect example.
After 40 years.
After 40 years, we want to recognize them in some way.
I love that.
And I will be honest with you, we did not know that they were closing when we selected them. So that just goes to show you, we want to make sure that we try to highlight all of our long-standing, restaurateurs for sure.
Which I love. And for those of you who don't know Annie's Paramount Steakhouse, they're such an integral part of the LGBTQIA community. Yeah. They were like they're on 17th Street, and they're like the first who really welcomed everybody in. Yeah. So they're a fascinating story.
Yeah, in so many ways.
Yes. Yep. And Philomena, the grandmothers are still out there rolling the rolling the ravioli. It's great. All right. John G. Latham. Yeah. What's that about?
John G. Latham is, obviously we know who John Latham is.
Yes, but tell everybody.
John Latham is the co-founder of the Class Group.
Right.
And in honor of his legacy, family wanted to do something. And this was a great way to not only honor his legacy, but honor someone who we think, who our board thinks that is worthy of the recognition. And this year, the John Latham Award is going to. I have to look back.
No, I'll tell you who. It's Mike Curtin. Curtin.
Yes,
I can't believe I'm filling in for you.
Yes,
Mike
DC
Curtin,
Central Kitchen.
DC Central Kitchen. So Mike is on the show all the time and on Foodie and the Beast.
Yeah.
He took over for Robert Eggers and has taken Bobby's vision of DC Central Kitchen and just flown with it. They just opened up their new facility.
And has opened a beautiful facility in Buzzard Point.
I know. Amazing. They're amazing, amazing people.
And I should have known that because he's a past chair of RAMW as well. So.
And he's the coolest guy.
Yeah. So I hear. I haven't met him. I haven't met him yet. No, I haven't met him. I have not met him yet. I've been hearing about him so much.
He's a great guy.
So, and that is I think that's one of the cool things about coming in after Kathy and being in the positions that I've been in prior to this role. There's a ton of people that I do know.
Right.
But there are gems out there that I don't know, and I've heard about them. I keep hearing about different folks, and Mike is just one of those people that I've heard about and I haven't met yet.
I'm impressed yet.
I will at least meet him on July 9th.
Well, I can't wait for you to meet him. He's just such a rare gem. Yeah. And what DC Central Kitchen does for this community is they just do so much.
Yeah.
And that new facility, everything. So we're not going to do a whole thing on DC Central Kitchen. We don't have enough time. But okay, so we've got a lot of things happening. We have the RAMMYS, July 9th.
Yeah, July 9th. Oh, and I have to say that the party portion of it is not the same.
Ooh.
It is different.
What does that mean?
It is different in a great way.
I liked it last year. What's happening this year?
Well, we changed the format a little bit.
Okay.
For the better.
It better be.
It is more explorative. It is more interactive. You won't be sitting down a lot. You will be.
I just want to be clear.
Yep.
I have never, ever sat down. Ever.
Good.
I didn't even know there was a place to sit down. So I feel like maybe you should have shared that private before, because that's why I'm literally crippled the next day.
You're going to love it.
I can't wait.
You're going to love it. It's going to be good.
All right.
I'm
Where
excited.
can people get tickets?
Of course, you can go to RAMMYS.org. You can go to RAMW.org.
Okay.
You can come by the office and buy a ticket. They can come see you.
Yeah, you could go to the listoryouwantit.com. And I want to remind people who are interested in either posting jobs in the DC market or getting a job in the DC market. It is foodjobsdc.com. Definitely check it out. Tell your friends and let people know about it, because it's going to be really one of the big places in this city where people connect when it comes to employment. Where can we find you? Do you want to give your Insta?
Find me on social media, all platforms, Shawn J. Townsend.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
RAMW, obviously, as well. So let me just quickly wrap up. I'm so excited to finally have you in studio. I'm so excited for everything happening.
The first time we did this, it was during COVID.
I know.
And I was in the office on a screen. So I'm so happy that we're able to do this in person.
Me too. It's everything is a gift, right?
Yep.
It's all good. And it's because of the pandemic that we did meet at a restaurant. Your first dinner with Kathy at Annabelle.
That's right.
That's totally not kosher for us to talk about on this show. Anyway, so thank you all for joining us today. So much is happening in and around the DC region. Go to thelistareyouwantit.com and you will stay on top of all of it. Of course, you can follow me at NYCCINELLIS on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and of course, subscribe for this show on YouTube. Tune in every Sunday on 1500 for Foodie and the Beast, and stay alert, because I am doing some really fun things. I am one of the hosts on the red carpet at the Jane Beard Award this year for Hilton, and I'm going to be out and about on some TV gigs, so stay posted. Any questions that you have, you can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. Same thing for Shawn. Reach out to him on his Instagram stories or feed as well. What else? I don't know. Just be safe out there. Remember, when you go to a restaurant, everybody wants you to have a good time. So take your kindness pills, take a deep breath, order a drink or a non-alcoholic beverage, and have a good time and have a delicious week.
Produced by Heartcast Media.